Hi everybody, it's Sally here from the Leslie Link. I hope that you're all doing well this week and you're having a fantastic time. The Inspirational People Series, it's very hard to actually pick people because believe it or not, there is a lot of inspirational people in the world and this can only be a good thing for all of us, surely. But I have decided that Dolly Parton was the person for this week. She's also known as the Country Queen, and I'm sure you've heard of her name before. She is a household name. Now, not everybody knows about the story behind the incredible Dolly Parton. It really is a rags to riches kind of story. She came from a very, very poor background. She even referred to herself as she was dirt poor. Her family were dirt poor. And they lived in the Smoky Mountains and in a log cabin, just a one-bedroom cabin. And she was one of 12 children. She was the fourth child of 12 children. So imagine how incredible that must have been, living all together, all cooped up. And she does recount some really, really sad stories, like when she was very young. They were all sharing a bed together, and her little brothers and sisters maybe would wee the bed, and it would be a warm sensation, obviously, but she never said anything to her parents because it was warm and it was so cold in the cabin. So imagine, I mean, this is incredible. They used to wash in the river nearby, and they used to have to even make their own soap. And you think about what level she's got to now, and how inspiring she is to literally come from nothing and really go for it with her career. She started when she was about 11. She was then singing, and she was singing on radio shows and also on TV performances, things like this. And she actually met the famous Johnny Cash. And Johnny Cash was amazed at her singing even at that age. And he actually told her, go for your dreams, keep going, keep going. So it's amazing to think that when she was that young that she met somebody so talented as well. Now, as I said, she's done so many songs. She's also done films, concerts. Some of the songs that you'll probably know, like for example, Jolene is such a famous song, which is something that she did. And another song that you might not know of is I Will Always Love You by Whitney Houston. I was really surprised at that myself. Whitney Houston, as you know, was so famous for that song, but it was originally a Dolly Parton song, which I never knew. And it's because she used to work with this gentleman for many years. I think it was around about 7 years. And they weren't together in a personal way. It was more a business relationship. But when they stopped working together, she was so sad that she actually made that song and saying, I will always love you. So how sweet is that? So she was a very, very nice person. And one thing you can think of Dolly Parton when you imagine her in your head is that she's very, very small, but she has this huge, big personality, which is just absolutely fantastic. And another key thing I always notice is that she's always smiling. And this is something that I absolutely love. And I will come on to that later on because I want to read out some quotes to you from her. And one of them is actually about smiling, which really fits in with her personality. Another story I heard about, which was really sad, was the song you've probably heard called The Coat of Many Colours. Now, it's a very famous song, and I didn't realise it was based on her life story of when she was a little child and her family didn't have hardly any money. And The Coat of Many Colours was actually a coat that her mum made for her. And it was made out of little rags that she sewed together for hours and hours. And when she wore it to school, the other children, they laughed at her because it looked so strange to them. And she couldn't understand why they were laughing because she felt she had a very rich life anyway because there was a lot of love. Although they had a lot of poverty in their family and there were so many children, they had a lot of love in their family. And she knew that her mother had made that coat for her basically out of love. So she just didn't really understand why they were taking the mickey out of her, really. But if you actually listen to the lyrics of A Coat of Many Colours, it's incredible because she actually tells you the story in the song about how she's there with her jeans with patches on. She's also got holes in her shoes, and then she's wearing her coat of many colours. And she even mentions about the children laughing at her. So this is incredible. It's a great song, very, very sad. If you actually look on YouTube, for example, this song, you'll read some of the comments. Some people even say, oh my God, it makes me cry every time I hear this song. I mean, that's amazing, So what else can I tell you about Dolly Parton? Well, like I say, she's a very humble person. She's been with her husband for many, many years. She was 18 and he was 21 when they met each other. And they literally collided into each other outside a laundrette. So you can't get very more down to earth than that. And he did go to one of her award ceremonies once, many, many years ago, and he really didn't enjoy it. And he actually said to her, I don't want to go to any more of these award ceremonies. I'm very much like to keep in the background. And he always has, and they've always stayed together, and that's really, really lovely. She's also famous for doing films like 1989 to 5, The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, which was in 1982, and also Rhinestone, which was with Sylvester Stallone, which is in 1984. She also did many other films, but these are probably ones that you've heard the most. Around about that time, in 1982, 1984, she did have a lot of problems, women problems, shall we say, and she had to see a gynecologist, and sadly she had to have a hysterectomy. I believe it was a partial hysterectomy. But as a result, she wasn't able to have children. And that was something that really, really hit her hard. She loved children. Maybe perhaps the fact that she was brought up with so many brothers and sisters as well. And this really, really hurt her. So much so that she went into a depression. And there was a really sad time where she actually did even think about ending her life, which is just awful. We're living in the country and what have you, there was guns and things around, and she had seen a gun and was thinking about it. And just at that moment, her dog, called Popeye, jumped from nowhere and landed on top of her and actually just sort of snapped her out the whole thing. And she, to this day, she actually puts it down to her dog intervening. And she said it was almost like a God moment. She really puts it down to her faith that it snapped her out of her being in this depression. As it happens, depression had actually been in her family with other members of her family. She'd always thought that she would have some sort of depressive state at some time in her life, and sadly it was when she found out she couldn't have children. But all this is going on in the background and you would never really see it. She was always put a smile on her face, like I mentioned earlier, and just get on with things. So actually, as she accumulated all her wealth from all her singing and her films and everything, she created alongside with a partner, Dollywood, which is a theme park that you can go to that has all these rides and things. And she actually does lots of shows and concerts there, all for charity. She gives millions and millions to charity every single year. And she loves dogs. I mean, obviously mentioning Popeye earlier on, she loves dogs so much that in Dollywood, she even has a little area called Doggywood. And that's where people who have dogs can leave their pets while they actually go and entertain themselves in Dollywood. So, like I say, it doesn't matter all the things that she's had. She all just sort of carries on. She's very inspirational. She also found out quite a few years ago now that she had the sort of the trademark signs, the start of cancer in her throat, which is obviously, you can imagine, is awful for anybody, but especially if you're a sinner. And she didn't want her friends or family to worry about her. She's a complete soldier, this woman. She didn't tell anybody really, and she went and had a little bit of surgery to sort it out, and thankfully, touch wood, she seems to be okay. So this brings me on to some of the quotes that she's come out with over the years. So we have here, storms make trees take deeper roots, and that's obviously very, very, very true. I've had heartaches, headaches, toothaches, earaches, and I've had a few pains in the ass, but I've survived to tell about it. I'm not going to limit myself just because people won't accept the fact that I can do something else. I really like that one because I'm sure as we work our way through our lives, there's lots of different things that you think you want to do, maybe even a complete change of career, change something in your life, something completely different that you've never done before. And like she says in that quote there, it's quite possible, you know. I mean, of course, if you decide, oh, I would love to be a brain surgeon, that might not necessarily happen. But you can change your career, you can learn things, you can do things, you can change, and you don't need to put any limits on yourself. Another quote here is, the way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you got to put up with the rain. And God, did she not put up with some rain in her life? She certainly did. And then the last quote I want to share with you goes back to her smiling. I did mention earlier that was this lovely little quote. And she said, smile, it increases your face value. How lovely is that? So my inspirational person for this week was Dolly Parton. I'll be coming back to you soon in a couple of weeks' time with the next video. In the meantime, if you'd like to get more videos from the Leslie Link, do please subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also press the bell for notifications when I make a new video. And I also have a website where you can get blog posts, which is theleslierlink.com. You can sign up there and even get blog posts straight into your email address. And I have a Twitter page that you can go to, and you can like and follow me on there, and also a Facebook page. So thank you very, very much for watching. It's been lovely speaking with you, and you listen to me once again, and enjoy the rest of your week. Bye everybody. Thank you.